A 7-year-old beggar girl sneaks into the hospital, and what she tells the bedridden millionaire shocks everyone, but the secret she reveals at his bedside changes everything. Before we start, whether you're having your morning coffee or getting ready for bed, you're exactly where you need to be. If this message finds you well, please like and subscribe to our channel for more thoughtful content. The December snow fell heavily on Manhattan as 7-year-old Emma Parker pressed her small face against the cold glass doors of St. Mary's Hospital. Her torn jacket, 3 sizes too big, hung loosely on her tiny frame. She'd been watching the entrance for 2 hours, waiting for the security guard to step away from his post. Her stomach growled painfully. She hadn't eaten in 2 days since escaping from Willowbrook Orphanage. When Robert, the night guard, finally walked toward the restroom, Emma slipped through the automatic doors. The warm air hit her frozen cheeks like a gentle embrace. She moved quickly through the lobby, her worn sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. Years of hiding had taught her to be invisible, to blend with shadows. The elevator doors opened, and Emma darted inside just as a group of nurses exited. She pressed the button for the top floor, the VIP wing she'd heard about from other street kids. Rich people stayed there, people who might have food, maybe even spare change. Her small fingers trembled as the elevator climbed higher. The hallway was quiet, dimly lit. Emma crept past several doors until she heard a voice, weak, raspy, calling out, "Please, someone, water." The door to room 1207 was slightly ajar. She peered inside and saw an elderly man lying alone in the bed, his face gaunt, eyes closed. William Henderson, 72 years old and worth $3 billion, had been dying alone for 3 weeks. No visitors, no family. His empire meant nothing now. Emma approached slowly, her heart pounding. On the nightstand sat an untouched dinner tray. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, apple pie. "Mister," she whispered. William's eyes fluttered open, focusing on the small figure beside his bed. Are you going to eat that?" Emma pointed at the tray, her stomach cramping with hunger. William studied the child, her dirty face, hollow cheeks, desperate eyes. "Take it," he croaked. "Take whatever you want." Emma grabbed the tray, but instead of running, she did something unexpected. She pulled the rolling table closer to William's bed, divided the food in half, and began feeding him small bites while eating her portion. "My mommy used to say sharing makes food taste better," she said softly. William swallowed with difficulty, tears forming in his eyes. This child, clearly starving, was sharing with him. "What's your name, little one?" "Emma Parker." She spooned more potatoes toward him. "You look sad, mister. Are you sick?" "Very sick," William admitted, "and very alone." Emma tilted her head. "Me too. I mean, alone. The orphanage is full of kids, but I'm still alone." She pulled something from her pocket, a small, worn photograph. "This was my mommy. She died last year." William's entire body went rigid. The woman in the photo, he knew that face. Margaret Parker. His hands began shaking violently. Where did you get this?" "It's the only picture I have left. The orphanage took everything else." Emma noticed his reaction. "Do you know my mommy?" Before William could answer, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Dr. Sarah Mitchell entered, stopping abruptly at the scene before her. The reclusive billionaire who refused all visitors was sharing a meal with a clearly homeless child. "Security," Dr. Mitchell called out. "There's a child in here." "No!" William's voice cracked with unusual strength. "She stays!" Robert, the security guard, rushed into the room, his face flushed from running. "I'm sorry, Mr. Henderson." "She must have slipped past me." He reached for Emma, who instinctively pressed closer to William's bed. "Don't touch her," William commanded, his voice stronger than it had been in weeks. "This child is my guest." Dr. Mitchell stepped forward, professional concern etched on her face. "Mr. Henderson, we can't have unauthorized visitors, especially children, in the VIP wing. It's hospital policy. Emma's eyes darted between the adults, her small body tensing like a cornered animal. She'd been caught before, dragged back to places she'd fled, but something in the old man's eyes made her stay put instead of running. "Then change the policy," William said flatly, "or I'll have this hospital's board replaced by morning." It wasn't an idle threat. He owned 40% of the hospital's shares. Dr. Mitchell hesitated. She'd been William's physician for 3 weeks, watching him slowly give up on life, refusing treatment, refusing visitors. This was the most animated she'd seen him. "Mr. Henderson, the child appears to be homeless. We should contact child services." "No!" Emma cried out, tears streaming down her face. "Please, they'll send me back to Willow Brook. They don't feed us there. Mrs. Garrett takes the food money for herself. That's why I ran away." She clutched the photo of her mother tighter. William's jaw clenched. "Dr. Mitchell, Robert, please give us a moment." "Sir, I can't leave you alone with an unaccompanied minor," Dr. Mitchell protested. "Then stay, but be quiet." William's tone left no room for argument. He turned to Emma, his eyes soft. "Tell me about your mother, Emma." "Tell me about Margaret Parker." Emma wiped her nose with her sleeve. "Mommy was beautiful. She worked at a big hotel cleaning rooms. She always smelled like lemons from the cleaning stuff. She got sick last Christmas. The doctor said it was her lungs." Emma's voice broke. "She couldn't breathe at the end, just like you sound sometimes." William's eyes filled with tears. Margaret had worked at the Henderson Plaza Hotel. He remembered her now. The young woman who'd found and returned his wallet 8 years ago with $30,000 cash inside. He'd offered her a reward, but she'd refused, saying she was just doing the right thing. "Did your mother ever mention the hotel where she worked?" William asked carefully. Emma nodded eagerly. "The Henderson Plaza. She loved it there. She said the owner was a good man who gave Christmas bonuses and health insurance, but after she got sick, she couldn't work anymore, and we lost everything. Doctor." Mitchell watched the exchange with growing curiosity. William Henderson was crying, actually crying. She'd read his file. No family, estranged from his only son who died 5 years ago. No close friends. Yet this child had broken through his walls in minutes. "Emma," William said slowly, "I need to tell you something. I own that hotel. I knew your mother." Emma's eyes widened. "You're Mr. Henderson. Mommy's Mr. Henderson." She reached into her jacket and pulled out a crumpled envelope. "She told me if anything happened to her, I should find you. But I couldn't get past all the people at your office. I didn't know you were here." William took the envelope with trembling hands. His name was written on it in Margaret's neat handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a DNA test result. The room went completely silent as William read, his face draining of all color. Dr. Mitchell moved closer. "Mr. Henderson, are you all right? Your heart monitor." William looked up at Emma, then at the doctor. 8 years ago, Margaret Parker and I, there was one night." His voice trailed off as he stared at the DNA results. "She never told me. She never asked for anything." The revelation hung in the air like a physical presence. Dr. Mitchell read the paper over William's shoulder, her medical training confirming what the document claimed. The DNA test was from a reputable laboratory, dated 6 years ago. Margaret Parker had known the truth, but never sought out William for money. "Mr. Henderson," Dr. Mitchell said softly, "this child, Emma. The test indicates she's your biological granddaughter." Emma looked confused. "What does that mean? Grandpa died when I was a baby." "Mommy told me." William's son, Michael, had a brief relationship with Margaret 8 years ago, just months before his fatal car accident. William had never known. Margaret had raised Emma alone, never revealing the father's identity, never asking the Henderson family for help. "It means," William said, his voice thick with emotion, "that you're my family, Emma. My son Michael was your father." Robert, the security guard, stood frozen by the door, witnessing something extraordinary. The bitter, dying billionaire who'd pushed everyone away had just discovered he had a granddaughter, a homeless, starving granddaughter who'd been living in an orphanage while he died alone in luxury. Emma studied William's face intently. "You have the same eyes as the man in Mommy's special box. She kept one photo hidden. Said he was gone before I was born. That was Michael, my son, your father." William tried to sit up, his weak body protesting. "Oh God, Margaret tried to tell me. She came to my office last year before she got sick. Security wouldn't let her in. She must have been trying to ensure Emma would be cared for." "Doctor." Mitchell checked William's vitals, concerned about his elevated heart rate. "Mr. Henderson, you need to stay calm." "Calm?" William laughed bitterly. "My granddaughter has been starving in an orphanage while I've been lying here with $100 million trust fund that will go to distant cousins I've never met." He gripped Emma's small hand. "How long have you been at Willowbrook?" "Since Mommy died, 11 months. Emma counted on her fingers. "My birthday was last month. Nobody remembered." William's heart shattered. "November 15th. Michael's birthday too. The coincidence was too perfect, too painful." "What did you wish for?" "A family," Emma whispered. "Someone who wouldn't send me away." Dr. Mitchell cleared her throat. "Mr. Henderson, we need to contact Child Services. There are procedures." "Get my lawyer," William interrupted. "Bradley Morton. His number is in my phone. Tell him to come immediately with custody papers." "Sir, it doesn't work that way. Even if she is your granddaughter, you're very ill. The state won't just hand over a child." William's eyes blazed with determination, the same fire that had built his empire. "Doctor, I'm dying. We both know I have maybe 2 months left. But I'll be damned if my granddaughter spends another night in that orphanage." He turned to Emma. "Are you hurt? Has anyone at Willowbrook hurt you?" Emma pulled up her sleeve, revealing bruises. "Mrs. Garrett gets angry when we ask for more food. She says we're ungrateful." Robert stepped forward, his face dark with anger. "That's child abuse. We need to report this." "Take photos," William ordered. "Document everything." "Doctor, I want a full medical examination of my granddaughter, blood work, x-rays, everything. I want a paper trail of her condition when she came to me." Emma squeezed William's hand. "Are you really my grandfather? Really, truly?" "Really, truly," William confirmed. "And I'm going to make sure you never go hungry again." The hospital room door burst open. 3 security guards stood there with Mrs. Garrett from Willowbrook Orphanage. The heavy-set woman's face was red with exertion and anger. "There she is!" Mrs. Garrett pointed at Emma. "You little thief! You're coming back with me right now!" Emma shrank against William's bed, trembling. William pressed the emergency call button repeatedly. "Get out," he said coldly to Mrs. Garrett. "Get out of my room." Mrs. Garrett pushed past the security guards, her bulk filling the doorway. "That child is a ward of the state, and I'm her legal guardian. She comes with me now." Her meaty hand reached for Emma's arm. William's hand shot out, surprisingly fast for a dying man, and gripped Mrs. Garrett's wrist. "Touch my granddaughter again, and I'll destroy you." "Granddaughter?" Mrs. Garrett laughed harshly. "Nice try. This little liar probably told you some sob story. She's a runaway and a thief." Dr. Mitchell stepped between them. "Ma'am, please step back. We have documentation proving Emma is Mr. Henderson's biological granddaughter." Mrs. Garrett's face went pale, then red. She knew exactly who William Henderson was. Everyone in New York did. "That's impossible. Her mother was a nobody, a hotel maid." "Choose your next words very carefully," William warned, his voice deadly quiet. "You're speaking about my late daughter-in-law." Emma found her voice. "She hits us," she said quietly. "She locks us in the basement when we complain about being hungry. She takes the food money the state gives her and buys herself nice things." "Shut up, you little brat," Mrs. Garrett snapped. Robert had been recording on his phone since Mrs. Garrett entered. "Got all of that," he said, "including the threat to the child." The room filled with more people, 2 police officers, summoned by Dr. Mitchell's emergency call. Behind them, a distinguished man in an expensive suit pushed through. "Bradley," William said with relief, "thank God you're here." Bradley Morton, William's lawyer for 30 years, surveyed the scene quickly. "I've already filed an emergency custody petition. Judge Harrison owes me a favor. He's reviewing it now." He looked at Mrs. Garrett with disgust. "You must be the orphanage director. I've had my investigators at Willowbrook for the past hour. What they're finding is disturbing." Mrs. Garrett backed toward the door. "I don't have to listen to this. Emma comes with me." "Actually," one of the police officers said, "we've just received a call from Child Protective Services. Willowbrook Orphanage is under investigation. You're not taking any children anywhere." Emma started crying, but they were tears of relief. She climbed onto William's bed, careful not to disturb his IV lines, and curled against his side. William's arm came around her protectively. "It's okay, sweetheart," he whispered. "You're safe now." Mrs. Garrett tried one last gambit. "Mr. Henderson, you're clearly very ill. You can't care for a child." "No, but I can provide for one." William looked at Bradley. "I want to legally adopt Emma. Immediately." Bradley nodded. "I anticipated that. The papers are being drawn up. Given your condition and Emma's biological relationship to you, we can fast-track this." Dr. Mitchell had been checking Emma's visible injuries. "Mr. Henderson, Emma needs immediate medical attention. She's malnourished, has untreated bruises, and possibly other issues." "Then treat her," William said simply. "Whatever she needs." Mrs. Garrett made a move toward the door, but the police officers blocked her. "Ma'am, you'll need to come with us for questioning." As they led her away, she shot a venomous look at Emma. "You'll regret this, you little—" "Officer," William called out, "I'll be pressing full charges: assault, child endangerment, fraud, and theft of state funds. Mr. Morton will provide you with our full cooperation." After the chaos settled, the room grew quiet. Emma hadn't moved from William's side. "Are you really going to adopt me?" she asked in a tiny voice. "If you'll have me," William said. "I know I'm old and sick, but I want to be your grandfather for whatever time I have left." Emma hugged him carefully. "I don't care if you're sick. Mommy was sick too, but she still loved me." Bradley cleared his throat. "William, there's something else. Michael's trust fund. It was never dissolved after his death. Legally, it would pass to his heir." William's eyes widened. That's $50 million. $50 million that belongs to Emma," Bradley confirmed. The next morning brought unexpected challenges. William woke to find Emma asleep in the chair beside his bed, her small hand still holding his. Dr. Mitchell had allowed her to stay after running comprehensive medical tests that revealed the extent of her neglect: vitamin deficiencies, untreated infections, and signs of prolonged malnutrition. A knock at the door interrupted the peaceful moment. Bradley entered with a concerned expression, followed by a sharp-dressed woman and 2 men in expensive suits. "William," Bradley said carefully, "your cousins are here." Victoria Henderson Cross, Walter Henderson, and James Henderson filed in, their faces masks of false concern. William hadn't seen them in years, but he knew exactly why they'd come. They were his only living relatives, or so they'd thought until yesterday. "William, dear cousin," Victoria said sweetly, her eyes fixed on Emma. "We heard about your situation." "News travels fast," William said dryly. "What do you want, Victoria?" Walter stepped forward. "We're concerned about you being manipulated in your condition. This child appears out of nowhere, with convenient documentation." "The DNA test is legitimate," Bradley interrupted. I've had it independently verified. James, the youngest cousin, tried a different approach. William, you're dying. This child needs stability, a real family. We could take care of her. Emma woke up, immediately sensing danger. She pressed closer to William. These people reminded her of Mrs. Garrett, fake smiles hiding cruel intentions. How generous, William said sarcastically. You haven't visited me once in 5 years, but now you're concerned about my well-being. Victoria dropped her pretense. William, be reasonable. You have 2 months to live, maybe less. What happens to the child then? And let's be honest about what this is really about. Your estate. My estate is my business, William said firmly. Not when you're not of sound mind, Walter threatened. A dying man suddenly changing his will for a child who conveniently appears? Any court would find that suspicious. Emma stood up, her small face fierce. My grandpa isn't crazy. You're just mean people who want his money. Listen here, you little gold digger, Victoria started. Enough! William's shout triggered a coughing fit. Dr. Mitchell rushed in, having heard the commotion. Everyone out, she ordered. Mr. Henderson's health can't tolerate this stress. We're not leaving, Walter said. We have rights. Actually, you don't, Bradley said, pulling out his phone. Security, please come to room 1207. As security arrived, Victoria played her last card. We've filed a competency hearing, William, tomorrow morning. If you're declared mentally incompetent, Emma goes back to state custody and we become your guardians. After they left, William was pale and shaking. Bradley, they can't take her away. They won't, Bradley assured him. I've already contacted Dr. Patricia Reeves, the best psychiatric evaluator in the state. She'll testify to your mental competence. Emma climbed back onto the bed. Grandpa, why do they hate me? They don't hate you, sweetheart. They hate that you exist because it means they won't inherit my money. William stroked her hair. But I have a plan. He whispered something to Bradley, who smiled. Brilliant. I'll set it up immediately. That evening, as Emma ate dinner, her third full meal of the day, William made a video call. On the screen appeared a woman in her 60s with kind eyes. Hello, William, she said warmly. It's been too long. Emma, William said, I want you to meet someone very special. This is Grace Murphy. She was your father's nanny when he was your age. Grace's eyes filled with tears when she saw Emma. Oh my goodness, she looks just like Michael did at that age. Grace, William said, I need to ask you something important. Would you consider coming out of retirement to help care for Emma? Grace didn't hesitate. I'm booking a flight right now. That little angel needs someone, and I've missed having a child to care for. Emma looked hopeful. You knew my daddy. I raised him from a baby, Grace said, and I have so many stories to tell you about him. The competency hearing was scheduled for 9 o'clock the next morning in the hospital's conference room. William had barely slept, spending the night reviewing documents with Bradley and recording videos for Emma's future. Emma had been taken to the pediatric ward for her safety, with Grace Murphy arriving at dawn to stay with her. The conference room filled quickly. Judge Patricia Harrison presided, having agreed to conduct the emergency hearing at the hospital due to William's condition. Victoria, Walter, and James sat on one side with their lawyer, a stern man named Richard Cromwell. Bradley sat beside William's wheelchair on the other side. Your Honour, Cromwell began, we're requesting William Henderson be declared mentally incompetent and that temporary guardianship be granted to his cousins, his only adult relatives. Objection, Bradley said. Mr. Henderson has a granddaughter, his legal next of kin. A child who mysteriously appeared days ago, Cromwell countered. Mr. Henderson, in his deteriorated state, is being manipulated. Judge Harrison raised her hand. I'll hear from the medical professionals first. Dr. Mitchell testified first. Mr. Henderson has terminal lung cancer, but his cognitive functions remain intact. His medical decisions have been consistent and rational. Doctor, Patricia Reeves, the psychiatric evaluator, followed. I spent 3 hours with Mr. Henderson yesterday. He passed every cognitive test. He's fully aware of his situation, his finances, and his decisions regarding his granddaughter. Cromwell stood. Your Honor, may we present evidence of Mr. Henderson's erratic behavior? He produced security footage from the hospital. Here we see Mr. Henderson allowing a strange child to eat from his medical tray. He threatens staff, makes impulsive decisions. He was sharing food with his granddaughter, Bradley interrupted. An act of kindness, not mental incompetence. The door opened, and Emma entered with Grace, despite Bradley's attempts to keep her away. Please, Emma said to the judge, I need to say something. Judge Harrison looked surprised but nodded. This is highly irregular, but go ahead, child. Emma walked to William and held his hand. Everyone keeps talking about my grandpa like he's crazy for wanting me, but nobody asks why I want him. She pulled out a small notebook. Last night, he taught me chess. He helped me with math problems. He told me stories about my daddy. He remembered my middle name is Rose, after my grandma, even though nobody told him. How would he know that if he was confused? The child has been coached, Victoria said dismissively. Emma turned to her. No, I haven't. You want to know what coaching looks like? Mrs. Garrett coached us to lie to inspectors about having enough food. She coached us to say we were happy. Her voice grew stronger. My grandpa doesn't coach me. He just loves me. William squeezed her hand, tears running down his face. Judge Harrison reviewed more documents. Mr. Cromwell, I see here that none of the cousins have visited Mr. Henderson in 5 years, yet they appear within hours of learning about his granddaughter. Can you explain this sudden concern? Walter started to speak, but Cromwell silenced him. They were respecting his wishes for privacy. I see. Judge Harrison turned to William. Mr. Henderson, can you tell me today's date, where we are, and why we're here? William's voice was clear despite his weakness. It's December 19th, 2024. We're in St. Mary's Hospital, New York City. We're here because my cousins, who stand to inherit my estate, are trying to prevent me from caring for my biological granddaughter, Emma Rose Parker Henderson, by claiming I'm mentally incompetent. And what are your intentions regarding Emma? I want to legally adopt her, provide for her future, and spend whatever time I have left being the grandfather she deserves. I've established a trust fund for her education, arranged for Grace Murphy as her guardian after I'm gone, and updated my will accordingly. Judge Harrison nodded. Mr. Henderson, one final question. What's the square root of 144? 12. William answered immediately. The same age Emma will be when she starts 7th grade at Branson Academy, where I've already enrolled her. The judge turned to the cousins. I find no evidence of mental incompetence. In fact, Mr. Henderson seems more lucid and purposeful than many healthy individuals. The petition is denied. Victoria stood up, furious. This is a travesty. We'll appeal. That's your right, Judge Harrison said, but I'm also forwarding this case to the Fraud Investigation Unit. Your timing and motivations warrant scrutiny. As the cousins stormed out, William hugged Emma tightly. We won, sweetheart. No, Emma said, wise beyond her years. We found each other. That's what really matters. Christmas Eve arrived with a gentleness that seemed to embrace the entire hospital. William had been moved to a larger suite to accommodate the sudden influx of life around him. Emma had transformed the sterile room into something magical. Paper snowflakes on the windows, drawings taped to every wall, and a small artificial tree that Grace had brought, decorated with origami ornaments Emma made from medical pamphlets. Dr. Mitchell entered for morning rounds, amazed at the change in her patient. Your vitals have actually improved, Mr. Henderson. It's quite remarkable. Having a reason to live makes a difference, William said, watching Emma help Grace organize the Christmas presents that had been arriving all morning, gifts from William's employees who'd heard about Emma. Grandpa, look. Emma held up a card from the hotel staff. They all signed it, And they said they remember Mommy." A knock interrupted them. Bradley entered with a serious expression and an elderly woman William didn't recognize. She was thin, well-dressed, and carried herself with dignity, despite her apparent nervousness. "William," Bradley said carefully, "this is Dorothy Parker, Emma's maternal grandmother." The room went silent. Emma stared at the woman, confusion clear on her face. "Mommy said my grandma died when she was little." Dorothy's eyes filled with tears. "No, sweetheart. Your mother and we had a falling out years ago. I've been looking for you since I heard about Margaret's passing." William tensed. This could complicate everything. Why now? Where were you when your daughter was dying, when Emma was put in an orphanage? Dorothy sat down heavily. "I didn't know. Margaret cut contact with me 8 years ago when I disapproved of her relationship with your son. I was wrong, so terribly wrong. I hired a private investigator last month to find them. He led me here." Emma moved closer to William, uncertain. She'd learned not to trust easily. "Why did you not like my daddy?" Dorothy's voice was barely a whisper. "I thought he would hurt your mother because he was rich, that he was just playing with her feelings. I said terrible things. When Michael died in that accident, Margaret blamed me for wasting the little time they had together. She was right to." "What do you want?" William asked bluntly. "Nothing," Dorothy said. "I have my own money. My husband left me well provided for. I wanted to see my granddaughter, to apologize, and to give you this." She pulled out a thick envelope. Inside were dozens of photographs. Margaret and Michael together, smiling, clearly in love. Pictures William had never seen. His son looked happier than William had ever seen him. "Michael gave these to Margaret before he died," Dorothy explained. "He was planning to propose. He'd bought a ring. The accident happened the next day." Emma picked up one photo, her parents at a beach, Michael lifting Margaret in the air, both laughing. "They looked happy," she said softly. "They were," Dorothy confirmed. "Your mother loved your father more than anything except you. You were her miracle." William studied Dorothy carefully. "Are you seeking custody?" "No," Dorothy said firmly. "I can see Emma belongs with you. You're giving her what I failed to give Margaret, unconditional love and acceptance. I just hope. Maybe I could visit sometimes, be part of her life in some small way." Emma looked at William. "What do you think, Grandpa?" William saw the hope in Emma's eyes. This child who'd lost so much deserved all the family she could get. "I think everyone deserves a second chance." "What do you think, Emma?" Emma walked over to Dorothy slowly. "Did you love my mommy?" "More than all the stars in the sky," Dorothy said, tears flowing freely. "And I love you too, even though I just met you." Emma made her decision. She hugged Dorothy carefully. "Mommy always said love makes families, not just blood." Dorothy sobbed, holding Emma like she was the most precious thing in the world. William watched, feeling his own heart heal a little more. This broken family was slowly piecing itself back together. "Grandma Dorothy," Emma said, testing the words, "would you like to stay for Christmas dinner?" Grandpa ordered Chinese food because the hospital turkey looked weird. Everyone laughed through their tears. Grace began setting the table while Bradley produced a bottle of sparkling cider he'd smuggled in. Dorothy helped Emma hang one more decoration, a paper angel she'd been working on all morning. "For Mommy and Daddy," Emma explained, placing it atop the tree. "So they know we're all together now." William reached for Emma's hand, then surprised himself by reaching for Dorothy's too. Margaret and Michael would want us to be family. All of us. That night, as Emma slept curled between her two grandparents, William felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Complete peace. His body was failing, but his heart had never been fuller. He'd spent decades building an empire of money and power, only to discover his true fortune Was this little girl who'd broken into his hospital room seeking food and given him a reason to fight for every remaining breath. The day after Christmas brought an unexpected crisis. William woke to find Emma burning with fever, delirious and calling for her mother. The malnutrition and stress had finally overwhelmed her small body. Dr. Mitchell rushed in with a pediatric team, immediately starting IV antibiotics and fluids. Her immune system is compromised from prolonged neglect, Dr. Mitchell explained. We're looking at severe pneumonia. William tried to get out of bed, his own weakness forgotten. I need to be with her. Mr. Henderson, you can't. Your immune system is also compromised. Exposure could be fatal for you. William watched through the glass window as medical staff worked on Emma. Grace held his hand, tears streaming down her face. Dorothy arrived within minutes of getting the call, joining their vigil. This is my fault, William said. I should have gotten her better care sooner. Stop that, Grace said firmly. That child was dying slowly in that orphanage. You saved her life. Now let the doctors save it again. Bradley appeared with concerning news. William, the cousins have leaked the story to the press. It's everywhere. Dying billionaire falls for orphans scam. They're trying to poison public opinion before the appeal. William's rage was cold and calculated. Bradley, remember that investigation I had you start on my cousin's business dealings? Yes, the forensic accountants found significant irregularities. Release everything to the FBI, every transaction, every fraud, every embezzled penny. William's eyes were steel. They want to play dirty. They're about to learn why I built an empire. Hours passed like years. Emma's fever climbed dangerously high. At one point her heart rate dropped so low that crash carts were brought in. William pressed his hands against the glass, praying to a god he'd long ignored. Please, he whispered, take me instead. She deserves to live. As if hearing him, Emma's eyes fluttered open. She looked around, confused and scared, until she saw William through the window. She raised one small hand toward him. Dr. Mitchell checked her vitals, relief visible on her face. The antibiotics are working. She's turning the corner. That evening, when Emma was stable enough for visitors, William was wheeled into her room in full protective gear. Emma reached for him immediately. I had a dream, she said weakly. Mommy was there. She said I had to come back because you needed me. William held her tiny hand. I do need you, sweetheart, more than you know. Mr. Henderson, a nurse interrupted. There are some people here to see you. The doorway filled with employees from the Henderson Plaza Hotel, housekeepers, janitors, desk clerks. Maria, the head of housekeeping who'd worked with Margaret, stepped forward. We saw the news, Mr. Henderson. We came to tell the truth. She pulled out her phone. We're going live on social media. The world needs to know that Margaret Parker was the most honest, kindest person we knew. And if Emma is anything like her mother, you're blessed to have her. One by one, the employees shared their memories of Margaret, their stories going viral within hours. The narrative the cousins had tried to create crumbled under the weight of truth. Walter called Bradley that night, panicked. The FBI raided our offices. This is your doing. No, Bradley said calmly. It's yours. You forgot that William Henderson didn't become successful by being weak. You threatened his granddaughter. What did you expect? Meanwhile, Dorothy had been busy. She'd contacted every major news outlet with the real story, how her daughter had hidden Emma's paternity to protect the Henderson family from scandal, never asking for money, even while dying. By morning, public opinion had completely shifted. The cousins were under federal investigation, and Emma had become America's sweetheart, the little girl who'd melted the heart of a dying billionaire. Emma's recovery was slow but steady. Each day brought small victories, keeping down solid food, sitting up without help, laughing at Grace's stories about young Michael. William spent every allowed moment with her, reading stories, playing board games, teaching her chess. "Grandpa," Emma said one afternoon, "are you scared of dying?" William considered lying but chose truth. "I was, but not anymore." "Why not?" "Because I know you'll be okay. You have Grace, Dorothy, and so many people who love you. And because these weeks with you have been worth more than my entire life before." Emma squeezed his hand. "I don't want you to die." "I don't want to either. But Emma, sometimes loving someone means preparing them for goodbye." New Year's Eve brought a miracle nobody expected. William's latest scan showed something unprecedented. The tumor had stopped growing. Dr. Mitchell reviewed the results 3 times, consulting with oncology specialists worldwide. "I can't explain it medically," she admitted. "The cancer is still there, but it's dormant, like it's been frozen in place." William looked at Emma, who was now healthy enough to sit on his bed, teaching Dorothy a card game Grace had taught her. "How long?" "I don't know. Months, maybe a year if we're lucky. This is uncharted territory." Emma overheard and jumped up. "A whole year, Grandpa? We can do so much in a year." That afternoon, Bradley brought papers for William to sign. The adoption was finalized. Emma was officially Emma Rose Henderson. But there was more. "The FBI has frozen your cousin's assets. They're facing 20 years minimum for fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion." "What about their children?" William asked. Despite everything, he didn't want innocent kids to suffer. "Trust funds you set up years ago for their education remain untouched. You always were too generous." Victoria made one last desperate attempt, appearing at the hospital with reporters. "William Henderson is being manipulated. This child and her supposed grandmother are con artists." But Emma did something unexpected. She walked right up to Victoria, cameras rolling, and handed her a drawing. "I made this for you. It's a heart, because Grandpa says everyone needs love, even mean people." Victoria stood frozen as Emma continued. "I'm sorry you're sad and angry. Grandpa says you're his family too, and family should love each other. Maybe when you're not so mad, you could visit us?" The reporters were captivated. This 7-year-old was showing more grace than adults 3 times her age. Victoria fled, but the damage to her credibility was complete. January brought new routines. William began experimental treatment that, while not curative, might extend his time. Emma started at Branson Academy, nervous but excited. William insisted on taking her to her first day, though it exhausted him. "What if the other kids don't like me?" Emma worried. "Impossible," William said. "You have your mother's kindness and your father's charm. You'll make wonderful friends." He was right. Within a week, Emma had 3 best friends and was invited to 2 birthday parties. She came home each day bursting with stories, which she shared during their new tradition, afternoon tea in William's room. Dorothy had rented an apartment nearby, becoming a constant presence. She and Grace formed an unlikely friendship, bonding over their shared love for Emma and their regrets about the past. One evening, as Emma slept between her grandparents, Dorothy spoke softly. "I spent 8 years hating you and your family. I blamed you for Michael's death, for Margaret's broken heart. I was so wrong." "We both were," William admitted. "I was so focused on protecting Michael from fortune hunters that I never saw Margaret was protecting him from loneliness." They loved each other, truly. The private investigator found something," Dorothy said, pulling out a small velvet box. "This was in Margaret's things. Inside was an engagement ring with an inscription, 'Forever, Michael.' He bought it the day before he died," Dorothy continued. "Margaret wore it on a chain around her neck. She wanted Emma to have it someday." William held the ring up to the light. He remembered Michael showing it to him, so proud, so happy. "I told him to wait, to be sure. My last words to my son were telling him to be careful. Not 'I love you' or 'I'm proud of you', just be careful." You loved him in your way, Dorothy said gently, not the way he needed. But Emma, I can love the right way, the way Margaret loved her, completely and unconditionally. February brought Emma's 8th birthday. William had been planning for weeks, determined to give her the celebration she'd never had. The entire pediatric ward was transformed into a wonderland. Children from the hospital and her school filled the space with laughter. But the best surprise came when Maria from the hotel brought a special guest, Sister Catherine from St. Mary's Church, where Margaret had volunteered. Your mother helped serve meals every Sunday, Sister Catherine told Emma. She always talked about you. She said you were her angel on earth. Emma hugged the elderly nun tightly. Each person who'd known her parents was another piece of the puzzle, helping her understand where she came from. That night, after the party, Emma made a wish on her candles. I wished for more time with you, Grandpa. William pulled her close. Every day we have is a gift, sweetheart, and we're going to make each one count. March arrived with unexpected revelations. William had hired investigators to trace Margaret's life, wanting Emma to have a complete picture of her mother. What they found changed everything. Mr. Henderson, the lead investigator, said, Margaret Parker wasn't just a hotel maid. She was attending night school for her law degree. She was in her final year when she became pregnant with Emma. William stared at the transcripts. Straight A's, Dean's List, scholarship recipient. She gave up her dreams for Emma. There's more. She had been accepted to Harvard Law before Michael died. She turned it down when she discovered she was pregnant. Emma, doing homework nearby, looked up. Mommy was going to be a lawyer? She was brilliant, the investigator continued. Her professors remember her as one of the most promising students they'd ever taught. She wrote a thesis on protecting children's rights that's still referenced today. Dorothy began crying. I never knew. She never told me about law school. Oh, Margaret, you sacrificed so much. William made a decision. Bradley, I want to establish the Margaret Parker Memorial Scholarship at Harvard Law. Full rides for single mothers pursuing law degrees. Consider it done, Bradley said. But the revelations weren't finished. Grace had been going through Michael's old belongings and found a safety deposit box key. Inside the box were letters. Dozens of them, all addressed to Margaret but never sent. William read them with shaking hands. His son had poured his heart out on paper, planning their future, choosing baby names, designing their dream home. In the last letter, dated the day he died, Michael had written, My darling Margaret, today I'm going to ask you to marry me. I know my father has doubts, but he doesn't see what I see. You're not interested in the Henderson money. You're interested in Michael the person. You laugh at my terrible jokes. You hold me when the pressure gets too much. You make me want to be better. Our children will be so lucky to have you as their mother. All my love, forever, Michael. Emma listened as William read aloud, tears streaming down her small face. Daddy loved Mommy so much. And they both loved you, William said. You were loved before you were even born. The next week brought a call that shocked everyone. Sister Catherine contacted them about a storage unit Margaret had kept, paid up for 10 years in advance. Inside, they found treasures Emma never knew existed. Baby clothes carefully preserved, photo albums, Michael's jacket that still smelled faintly of his cologne, and videos, dozens of videos Margaret had recorded for Emma. They gathered in William's room to watch. Margaret's face filled the screen, thin from illness but smiling. My sweet Emma, her recorded voice said, if you're watching this, it means I'm gone. But I'm not really gone, baby. I'm in every sunrise you see, every flower you smell, every time you help someone who needs it. That's where I'll be. The videos continued. Birthday messages for each year until Emma turned 18, advice about boys, about school, about life. Margaret had thought of everything. There's someone I need to tell you about, Margaret said in one video. Your father. Michael Henderson, he died before you were born, but oh, Emma, how he would have loved you. He was kind and funny and terrible at cooking. He had this laugh that made everyone else laugh too. And his father, William Henderson, your grandfather, is a good man. If you ever need help, find him. He'll take care of you. William sobbed openly. Even while dying, even after years of silence, Margaret had trusted him with Emma. In another box, they found Emma's baby book. Margaret had documented everything. First smile, first word, mama, first steps. And on every page, little notes to Michael. She has your eyes. She laughs just like you. I tell her about you every night. Emma held the book like a treasure. I have pieces of them both. You have more than pieces, Dorothy said. You have their best parts. April brought a court date. Victoria, Walter, and James were being sentenced for their financial crimes. William attended, wanting closure, but Emma insisted on coming too. I want to forgive them, she said simply. In the courtroom before sentencing, Emma asked to speak. The judge, intrigued, allowed it. My grandpa taught me that hurt people, Emma said, looking at the cousins. You must have been really hurt to be so mean. I forgive you, and I hope someday you can be happy without needing money to feel important. Victoria broke down crying. Walter and James looked stunned. Even the judge seemed moved. 20 years, the judge announced, but I'm recommending minimum security and counseling, thanks to this child's statement of forgiveness. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded them. Emma, how can you forgive them? Emma thought carefully. Because being angry is heavy, and I'm only 8. That's too heavy for me to carry. May brought a miracle that redefined William's future. Dr. Mitchell entered his room with an expression of absolute bewilderment, clutching test results that had been verified multiple times. William, I need you to sit down for this, she said, though he was already in bed. Just tell me, William said, bracing for the worst while Emma held his hand. The tumors are shrinking, not just stable, actually shrinking. Your oncologist in Switzerland wants to fly you there immediately. There's a new immunotherapy trial, and you're suddenly a perfect candidate. Emma jumped up and down. Grandpa's getting better. We can't promise cure, Dr. Mitchell cautioned, but we're talking years, potentially, not months. William looked at Emma's joyful face, then at Dorothy and Grace. When do we leave? We? Dr. Mitchell asked. I'm not going anywhere without my family. 2 weeks later, they were in Geneva. The treatment was grueling. William was sick for days after each session, but Emma never left his side, reading to him, playing quiet games, just being present. You should be in school, William said weakly, after a particularly hard treatment. School will be there, Emma said with wisdom beyond her years. You might not be. I choose you. Dorothy had enrolled Emma in an international school in Geneva temporarily, where she thrived despite the circumstances. Grace managed their temporary home, creating stability amid uncertainty. One evening, as William recovered from treatment, Emma made an announcement. I want to change my name. Everyone looked surprised. You don't like Emma? William asked. I love Emma, but I want to be Emma Margaret Michael Henderson for Mommy and Daddy. William's eyes filled with tears. That's perfect, sweetheart. The treatments worked better than anyone imagined. By July, William was walking without assistance. His appetite returned, and his scans showed dramatic improvement. The Swiss doctors called it remarkable, but not impossible. The combination of new treatment and what they termed psychological factors had created ideal conditions for recovery. You mean love, Emma said matter-of-factly when the doctor explained. Grandpa got better because of love. The doctor smiled. That's as good an explanation as any, young lady. August meant returning to New York. William was far from cured but stable enough for outpatient treatment. The homecoming was emotional. The Henderson Plaza hotel staff had organized a welcome party, with banners reading "Welcome home, Mr. Henderson and Emma." But the biggest surprise waited in William's office. His desk, untouched for months, had one new addition: a framed photo Emma had taken with Dorothy's phone. It showed William in his hospital bed, Emma curled against him, both asleep, looking utterly at peace. "I put it there," said Robert, the security guard from the hospital who'd become a family friend, "to remind everyone what really matters." September brought the one-year anniversary of Margaret's death. They visited her grave together. William, Emma, Dorothy and Grace. Emma had written a letter to her mother. "Dear Mommy," Emma read aloud, "I found Grandpa William like you said. He's wonderful. And I found Grandma Dorothy too. She's sorry for everything and loves me so much. I'm not hungry anymore, and I go to a good school. I have friends and family and everything you wanted for me. Thank you for being brave and strong. I'm trying to be brave and strong too. Love, Emma Margaret Michael Henderson." They left flowers, yellow roses, Margaret's favorite, and stood in peaceful silence. William felt Margaret's presence, almost hearing her say, "Thank you for loving our daughter." October surprised everyone when Victoria wrote from prison. Her letter to Emma was simple. "You taught me what family really means. I wasted my life chasing money when love was free all along. Thank you for your forgiveness. I don't deserve it, but I'm grateful." Emma wrote back, sending a drawing of a rainbow. "Rainbows come after storms," she wrote. "Your storm is almost over." November 15th, Emma's 9th birthday, and what would have been Michael's 41st. William had planned something special. He'd rebuilt Michael's childhood treehouse at their new home in Westchester, the house he'd bought to give Emma a real childhood. "Daddy played here?" Emma asked, climbing up the ladder. "Every day when he was your age," William confirmed. "He'd pretend to be a pirate or an astronaut or a dinosaur hunter." Inside the treehouse, William had placed Michael's childhood treasures, his baseball cards, his favorite books, his telescope. Emma touched each item reverently, connecting with the father she'd never met. That evening, surrounded by friends from school, Dorothy, Grace, Bradley, and even Dr. Mitchell, Emma blew out her candles. Her wish was simple, that this happiness would last. "Wishes are powerful things," William told her that night. "Your wish last year brought us together." Emma smiled. "Then I'll keep wishing for good things, for everyone." December 19th marked exactly 1 year since Emma had broken into William's hospital room. They decided to celebrate it as their own special anniversary, the day their real lives began. William, now strong enough to travel, had planned a surprise. They flew to a small town in Vermont, where Margaret had once told Emma about spending the happiest Christmas of her childhood. "Mommy said it was magical," Emma explained to Dorothy as they walked through the snow-covered streets. "She said if heaven had a winter, it would look like this." They found the inn Margaret had stayed at, still there, still run by the same family. The owner, Mrs. Whitfield, remembered Margaret. "Such a lovely young woman. She came here with a young man about 8 years ago. They were so in love, couldn't stop laughing and holding hands." William showed her a photo of Michael. "Was this him?" "Yes." "That's him. They carved their initials in the old oak tree out back, said they'd bring their children here someday. They found the tree, M and M forever, carved into the bark, weathered but still visible." Emma traced the letters with her small fingers. "They kept their promise," she said. "I'm here." That evening, the entire town seemed to embrace them. Word had spread about their story, and the community gathered for an impromptu celebration at the inn. Emma sang Christmas carols with local children, her voice clear and sweet. William watched from his chair by the fire, healthier than he'd been in years, but still careful. Dorothy sat beside him, Grace on his other side, the 3 grandparents united in their love for Emma. "She saved us all," Dorothy said softly. "No," William corrected. We saved each other. Bradley arrived the next morning with news. The Margaret Parker Memorial Scholarship has its first recipient, a single mother of two, working as a janitor while attending law school. She cried when I told her. Emma beamed. Mommy's helping people even now. But Bradley had more news. The cousins' children have asked to meet Emma. They want to apologize for their parents and start fresh. Emma didn't hesitate. Yes, everyone deserves a second chance. The meeting happened on Christmas Eve. Victoria's daughter Sophie, 16, approached nervously. "I'm sorry for what my mom did," Sophie said. "You're my cousin, and I should have stood up for you." Emma hugged her immediately. "We're family. Family forgives." The other cousins' children, ranging from 12 to 20, each apologized and asked for a fresh start. By the end of the day, Emma had gained 5 new cousins who genuinely cared about her. Christmas morning brought one final surprise. William had been working with the investigators for months, tracing every person Margaret had helped, every life she'd touched. He'd compiled them into a book, Margaret's Light, a legacy of love. "Your mother helped over 200 people in her short life," William told Emma. "She tutored kids for free, brought groceries to elderly neighbors, volunteered everywhere. This is her real inheritance to you, the knowledge that one person can make a difference." Emma clutched the book, seeing photos of her mother she'd never seen, reading stories from people whose lives Margaret had changed. "I want to be like her," Emma said. "You already are," Dorothy said. "You changed all of us." Dr. Mitchell called that afternoon with William's latest results. "Full remission," she said, barely believing it herself. "The cancer is gone. We'll monitor, of course, but William, you've beaten the odds." Emma jumped into William's arms. "We get more time." "All the time in the world," William promised. New Year's Eve found them all at the Henderson Plaza Hotel, at a gala William had organized. But this wasn't about business. It was a fundraiser for orphanages across the city. Emma had insisted that every child should have what she'd found: love, food, and hope. As midnight approached, William stood to speak, Emma beside him. "A year ago I was dying alone, bitter and forgotten. Then this little girl broke into my hospital room looking for food and gave me something priceless, a reason to live. She taught me that family isn't about blood or money or power. It's about choosing to love even when it's hard, forgiving even when it hurts, and believing in second chances." He looked at Emma, then at Dorothy and Grace, at their extended family of choice. "Emma asked me once if I believed in miracles. I didn't then. I do now, because she is one." As the clock struck midnight, fireworks lit the sky. Emma stood between her grandparents, looking up at the lights. "Mommy, Daddy," she whispered to the heavens, "we did it. We're all together, just like you wanted." And in that moment, as 2025 began, the little girl who'd had nothing had everything. A grandfather who'd learned to love, grandmothers who'd found redemption, and the knowledge that love could indeed conquer all.